99 Frogs have everything to do with what could happen for you in your business in the next 90 days. Okay, so I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories, um, and then tell you how it so well aligns with you and your business in this container of 90 days. Okay, so the story of 99 Frogs. So in 1998, I was finishing law school, and I went to University of Oregon, and I finished, and I moved back to the East Coast, and and we had this weekend where a bunch of my girlfriends were down the shore. We were all single. Late 1998, but if it was December, and and here I just finished school, finished basically a graduate program, right? So I'm like mid 20s, and most of my friends are around the same age, and all everybody there was single. We're single women, right? And we're sitting, and we are just having this like gripe session about how somehow we missed the boat, we did it wrong, and there weren't any good men left, right? And so as we drink more wine, we come to a slightly different conclusion, and we realize that, well, maybe it was more because we kept doing the same things, going to the same places, meeting the same kinds of people, and we weren't having that. We weren't lining up. We weren't aligned with the people that we were wanted to marry. That they hadn't been good fits yet, and that perhaps it was about us going and doing different things, and swimming in different ponds, that we would then meet different kinds of men, and that would that was a big piece of this. And so late in 1998, several girlfriends decide to collectively make 1999 our year. And that collectively, all of us, at the end of the day, there were 11 women, we would go and collectively collect 99 frogs, right? That we were going to encourage each other to do different things, the things that we hadn't been doing before that might be pushing us outside our comfort zone. And what helped was that it was no longer about going on the dates and meeting the guy and seeing if it was a good fit and all of that, but it was about this collective of us working together, and that we were going to have this support of each other and be able to come back and say, well, here's what happened, right? And we reveled in the idea of being able to come back and have like ridiculous stories. It just allowed this freedom to happen where we weren't beholden to this idea of like, you got to go on dates, and you date so that you can get serious, so that you can find out if they're a partner for life. Like that was, we moved that to secondary. Yeah, go make a talk. Sorry. And okay, so we do that. Wait, it became secondary because the priority was having these stories to come back to each other with. And we quickly realized as we got into this that crazy stories were way more fun. And so you could be on a horrible date, and you would just say, well, let me just ask this outrageous question. Let me go and do this, go and have fun where before I would have like, not a good fit, moving on, right? Where now we could just go and have some more fun. And it just led to all kinds of things. So we were encouraging each other to do brand new things, to go. There was someone who would carry around like crazy things, like a pineapple, just because she knew that people would then be asking, like, "Hey, why do you have a pineapple?" And one of the big things was that the internet was available, right? 1999, beginning of 1999, internet was still a relatively new thing. Modems, right? You still had to connect your modem to your AOL account, and this was now there's Match.coms and all the different versions where you can slice and dice and meet people of a particular type. None of that existed. In the beginning, it really was newspaper meets internet. And so when you logged on to the internet, you logged into your modem, you would get your AOL page. And back then, your AOL page you could format it. Do you remember this? You could format your AOL page to have different categories, so that your newspaper basically was reflective of what you wanted. And so my newspaper, my home page, I guess, had the classified section, and people in the Philadelphia area who were looking to date. And a couple other of my girlfriends in the 99 Frogs did this, right? And so the idea was, and this and all kinds of ways, whatever the way was, you'd go on your date, and you'd have to come back to the group and tell the story. And it wasn't until you were able to tell the story that it counted, right? And so I did it, and I went on horrific dates, just awful guys who just said just crazy things, and guys who shouldn't be in the public, let alone alone with them on a date. And the girls basically kept coming back and saying, well, okay, you need to have at least one good date, right? One good date, then maybe you could move off of online dating and move on to something else. And so I'm like, fine, one more date. And then I found this, I went online and I was looking, and there's this classified of, oh my goodness, my phone is ringing. Okay, sorry. So this guy has this ad that seemed almost too good to be true, right? I'm like mid-20s, he's mid-20s, and he's had like this serious community-focused life where he has a great relationship with his family. He's involved in local politics. He's coached his little brother's little league team, and he lives pretty close. And so I'm like, well, this is interesting. This is not your typical 20-something. And so we go on a date, and we get along. We have a great time. And I come home and I say, great guy. I'm pretty sure we'll be friends for life, but there's no spark. And my friends, who I still have what's going on there, my friends come back and say, well, if it was that good, you should at least go on a second date. Fine. So I go on a second date. Great time. We laugh all night. I come home, say, great guy. I'm sure we'll be friends for life, and no spark. And I'm like, come on, if it's that good, go out one more time. And we go out. We have a great time. And it gets involved in another story, but at the end of the day, I come home at the end. Come home at the end of the date, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to marry him. And here I am, 20 plus years later, and I have. Okay, so that's my awesome 99 Frog story. Well, that's my story, I should say. I don't exactly know what the numbers are, but many people, many of my girlfriends out of that found partners. Many weddings came out of it, and probably even more importantly, we had such a good time. We changed the game, right? Or we had made it a game. That's the key. We had made it from this thing that we had come to this place where we thought we were slogging through, and we made it a game, and we made it about our enjoyment, and therefore it was so much different. Okay, so how does that all relate? How does it really? I'm sure you're already hearing it, but finding the container in which you can have the 90, I'm sorry, let me think about this. Having the container for us in which we could be focused on each other rather than the outcome, and focused on the behavior that we are doing, not does this lead to marriage, right? Like that's such a recipe for failure. But how many people are you going to meet? How are you going to meet new people? Can you meet more people than your friends? Like that's a game. That's fun. And then come back and always have a place to journal it and collect the stories. So if you can find ways to do that in your business, it's hugely this game changer, because you're gamifying the metrics of your business. So to gamify it, you set it into create your container. And so I focus on 90-day plans, a 90-day game, basically, and you set the goal. I usually help people come up with the metrics, but you can decide what those metrics are. But the key to the metrics is not, you would have a goal that says at the end of 90 days, I'm going to have X number of dollars. That's cool. But what you can't do is say, how am I doing in hitting that number? Did I hit that number today or not? Because it's called a lagging indicator. You're not going to know until the end of whether or not you hit the number. What you can do, though, is what are the activities that I can be responsible for to make this work, right? So in 99 Frogs, it was about how many new people have you met? How many dates have you set up? How many times did you come back and tell the story? Because that was the collection of are we hitting 99 Frogs as a collective, right? So for here, it's about how many times, whatever that might be. If your goal is, I want to grow my audience, well, how many times am I putting myself out there? Do I have a plan of how I'm going out there and growing the audience? Am I doing the work? And which different platforms or which different vehicles is bringing me in the people, right? And so these are metrics that you are in control of. And if you stay on top of those metrics and you collect them over time, at the end of the 90 days, you will be a whole lot closer to hitting your goal. And as you get to do it more often, you get a better sense of what numbers you need to hit over here in order to hit the numbers over there, right? So when I was when I had my advertising business, I knew that if I was consistent in making my 50 calls a week, that would lead to the number of sales that I wanted in a month. And if I hit my number of sales, I was more than likely going to hit my revenue goal, right? And so I had to reverse engineer how much money do I want, what activity is going to lead me to there, and what metrics can I be tracking to make sure that I'm doing the right activity. And you can do that to totally set yourself up for success. And if you do it in a container where there's other people who are doing it with you, and you can be cheering each other on and understanding that a rising tide lifts all boats, that all of us can win at this, like that's such a game changer. It's so much more exciting and fun when you're coming from this place of like, hey, how's that going? You said you were going to do X. Where are you on that? How can I help? And oh, do you think there's still time to hit those last few pieces? You know, we can do this, and we're so much more likely to do it when we do it together. Okay, so that's my story of the 99 frogs. I hope you enjoyed it. We really did have a blast. Although my husband will tell you still that he was never a frog. He was always the prince. But I gotta tell you, he was one of the frogs. He was the only worthwhile frog, that's for sure. And that has let me see that there's one of the many ways in which I support people to have a much more not fulfilling is true, but I want to say that, whew, my daughter just popped her head in the window. Oh my goodness, I'm looking out at my window, and normally there's nobody there, and she just popped her head in. Okay, back to 99 frogs and how it affects you. So use that concept, apply it to your business, create your container. I think 90 days is a great segment because we often try to think we're going to accomplish too much in a day, but not nearly enough in a year. So don't consider the year, because we can do so much more than you think. But break it down. 90 days, that's something you'd really kind of get your head around, and make sure it's ambitious and it's smart, and then figure out that goal, and then figure out the metrics that you can control, and then just stay on top of it. If you could do it with other people, awesome. If you're having difficulties with any of those pieces, let's talk. That's where I love to be. I love to help people think about their business from this, much more strategic, much more fun, and gamified version where we reverse engineer the lifestyle that you want down to what that means for the activities you're going to do today. All right. Thank you so much. Looking forward to talking with you, and talk soon.